two big contributors, 2 subscribers. Say something, tell them why you did it.
I took a little poll when we came here, and we think that you should do this again.
Yeah.
So, and all the artists, at least some of the ones I talked to, said they would love it in a heartbeat. So I think, Joe, next year I think you should put up annual. Just like every good book, every good encyclopedia has an annual edition. So you got to do an annual. At least 5 copies.
Well, I was introduced to the concept of an artist book by Joe. These books, these things that we put together, are works of art themselves. And you go to an art store, you'll pay $500, $700 for a print. The subscription for a year to ARTLIFE was $450.
Ray's only question about ARTLIFE was, why is it so cheap?
Yeah, right. I mean, you've got 11 issues with potentially 30 works of art, original works of art, handmade in each issue. Come on. I thought, oh my God, I go downtown and buy a print for $400. I mean, that's one thing. This goes on forever. So I thought I had to subscribe. I really liked the idea of an artist book, and finally I became a contributor and made my own artist book, which I'll talk about in a bit. So that's for Joe, and there's much more to say about Joe. This is something he's done consistently for 25 years and never broke the sequence or the stride. And it's an amazing, it's itself an artistic accomplishment just to be doing that.
Okay, so today one of the things that we're celebrating is the power of the pencil. So for Ray and Bob, as the 2 only subscribers to ARTLIFE in Ventura for 25 years, the power of the pencil, so they can keep signing those big checks.
There we go.
So at some point I decided that we've taken ourselves seriously far too long. Because I don't know if any of you can imagine what it was like organizing 40 artists a month for 25 years. But when I started this, I had no gray hair. And it was all on the top of my head. So now that's gone, and so is everything else. But we left together a rather amazing time capsule. And so much so that it's collected and preserved in perpetuity by the best museums and libraries in America. So that is the thing that is worth realizing. Okay, so now we're going to start with the program, and we're going to start with someone to wake everybody up. And as I said, the first video was from Tokyo, and during that same month of 1990, I had arranged 7 simultaneous showings of ARTLIFE in the month of December of 1990 to celebrate our 10th anniversary. So I managed to get to the one in Tokyo and New York and all the ones in California, myself, in that 1 month of December. So we already saw something from Tokyo, and now we'll start the poets with Les Bridges from New York City about 10 days after the Tokyo opening. So this is Les Bridges from New York City.
It's between when you decide to kill yourself and you're dead. It's called Alone. Always read it, never bought, made it with many, kept none, lived with Salvation Army furniture for so long, should be swinging a Christmas bell. No more nights alone, want to flee, window looks like the only exit for me. Step from fire escape, fly past Mrs. O'Malley, pumping vibrator in 6A, zoom by 5th floor where John whips Al with cowboy belt on rubber sheet. Suddenly life's more interesting than I looked out at 8 a second ago. I haven't even hit the street. It's called The Last Supper. It's set in a restaurant right on the corner. Grilled birds fly by on palm of waiter in black pajamas. Teeth glow in yellow light at Soho restaurant. Poke at my pasta. Poke at your brain. Pull myself close one more time. Like mosquitoes sucked to a barbecue bug light whose tiny body explodes with the crisp snap of a small caliber bullet. Plump of pink salmon enters your mouth. Chardonnay floods pounding ahead. Fear of losing you spins down the drain.
label for everything. This guy was doing what we call talk poetry, Allen Ginsberg, Howl. And you can, the reason it's important to say that, 25 years of art life branches out and covers a whole spectrum of different movements in poetry and art and everything possible. 25 years is a long time to be in business publishing poetry and art and other kind of visual things. One of the things I was doing, and Joe was encouraged, there's a lot to talk about, Joe. You should know that Joe is one of the most encouraging editors and supporters of artists in this community. He just wants you to produce and is extremely supportive of everything you produce. He only rejects a few things, and they're pretty bad. But that's the point. I want to talk about, what I did is I started submitting things to Joe, poems that were illustrated with photographs, designed pages, and as best I could do in the old PageMaker. And now I'm struggling with CS4 Adobe in design, but you know, that's another matter, right? So you know what I'm talking about. I got very interested in Ventura as a subject matter of poetry. Not all my submissions to ARTLIFE were about this, but we live right up by Ventura High School. And for about 30 years, I jogged in what's called Hall Canyon with 2 different dogs who I outlasted. And I kept on thinking about, and I kept a kind of poetical journal of these runs into Hall Canyon, and it became the collection of poems. There's 35 poems with illustrations and photographs in a volume I then collected from ARTLIFE. And since I only made an edition of 50, I had to go back and make 50 additional pieces of each individual. This is the thing you had to do. When you submitted to ARTLIFE at one time, there were 250 in an edition. You had to submit 250 pages to Joe. You just submit one of them. He doesn't go out and copy them. And these are original, handcrafted pages. So imagine what that's like, all right? So anyway, this is talk about a movement in poetry. This poem, which you can't see too well from here, is called Concrete Poetry. Concrete poetry is a poem that's somewhat in the shape of the idea or the thing you're talking about. You actually shape the poem, set it up on the page to look like this. And this is about a beaver tail cactus. All right? So here's my cactus. And it's about getting stabbed in the intellectual eye by a quill in a cactus. Okay? And it actually is the cover of one of the ARTLIFE editions, which I'm very proud of. Every once in a while, Joe thought it was good enough to be a cover, and you get on the cover. So this is called Hall Canyon Spikes. And I'm going to illustrate the way this thing goes. When I touch it, I have to pull my finger away from the poem because I'm being spiked by the word, okay? So it's very short. My finger stabs with pain, but it was my eye that yearned to feel green smoothness spread beneath an orchard of spikes. So here's the picture of the beaver tail cactus with the spikes out. So again,